Hello, this is Surly Tim from Surly Tim's Fun Bunker. Gotta be the worst day for filming of my entire life. This is a DVD, kind of an idea of what DVDs I have, as I have a very extensive library of DVDs. In the past, I made really good money at this one company, and I was working 20 plus hours a day for the longest time. So I would go out and buy movies every Tuesday whenever they were released, because for some strange reason it's always released on Tuesday. But this is my first shelving unit, first shelf level, and I'm going to try to break it into 3 different episodes, because every time I try to record, something happens and I wind up not being able to. So I may stumble through these or stammer through these quick, but here we go. Part of a series called Horror Classics, which I was very impressed with back in the about 2002, roughly. It's got Don't Look in the Basement from 1973, House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price from 1958, House on the Edge of the Park from 1980. Very creepy film, because there was a strange fascination with rape films from the mid-70s up through the 80s. Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory from 1961. That's a blast. It's really hokey, goofy, and, well, that's what I'm into anyways. So, another horror classics, King of the Zombies, starring Manton Moreland from 1941. Not PC, really not the kind of thing that most people would want to watch these days, but it's off-color and it's fun, so I would suggest it. And you can find it on YouTube. I know it exists on YouTube. The entire movie, you can get it at once. It's only 63 minutes long. So, from 1972, there's Lady Frankenstein. Kind of feels like an old Hammer horror movie. Sisters of Death from 1976. Another horror classics, Bela Lugosi edition. It's got the Gorilla from 1939. The Devil Bat, one of my personal favorites, from 1941. The Human Monster from 1939. It's about a mad scientist who's turning a concert pianist into a monster. The Invisible Ghost from 1941, and 1943's The Ape Man. Really, really good set. Another one, horror classics, Carnival of Souls. Great movie, kind of slow, kind of boring in a way, but the cinematography is really good. Also the inspiration for the original 1968 Night of the Living Dead. Next, Chamber of Horrors from 1940. Last Man on Earth from the dates on this is wrong. It's a Vincent Price movie. They did a remake called The Omega Man, and then later with Will Smith, it was I, Robot. To me, this is the best copy, or the best version of this story. I also have another copy of it too, which is actually one that I'll go over later because it's in much better shape. And White Zombie, one of the movies that made Bela Lugosi's career and made him famous, from 1932. That and Dracula, they're what made him famous. Another horror classics, The Wasp Woman from 1959. The Indestructible Man, starring Lon Chaney Jr. from 1956. Great movie, love it. It's was a mob boss, dies, gets brought back to life, and he's pretty much just, you can't hurt him. The Ape, starring Boris Karloff. And Dementia 13, which was Francis Ford Coppola's first movie, came out in 1963. Not impressed with it at all. It was actually very boring and it just did not hit on any level with me. Horror Hotel from 1960. Bucket of Blood with Dick Miller from 1959. Now, Roger Corman directed it, and Dick Miller, this is by far my favorite Dick Miller movie. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. A lot of people look at it as being kind of creepy, but for the time period, it was amazing. The Devil's Hand from 1961. I Bury the Living, one of my all-time favorite B-horror films, starring Richard Boone. It has all the earmarks of a classic Twilight Zone episode. But it's about a caretaker at the local cemetery. He sticks the wrong pin because there's like one color is for the plot, the other one's for a plot that's being used because someone dies, puts in a wrong color pin pin and people start dying. They start dropping like flies. Great movie. One of my all-time favorites. Another horror classic. It's got Silent Night, Bloody Night. Horrible movie, but gotta watch it around Christmas time. It's just too much fun. From 1973. Scared to Death from 1947. It's got Bela Lugosi in it. It's about a girl who pretty much dies, and it's a story of how she died through her own eyes. So she's telling it posthumously. Good Against Evil, kind of an Exorcist type flick from 1977, and Kill Baby Kill from 1966. Another horror classics. Night Train to Terror, horrible, absolutely horrible, from 1984. Snow Beast from 1977. It's a Yeti type story, actually a lot of fun. A Devil's Nightmare from 1971. Moon of the Wolf, starring David Jensen, from 1972. Really good flick. Really was impressed with that. Horror classics. The Night of the Living Dead, of course, 1968. One of my all-time favorite movies. Also, to me, the greatest zombie movie of all time. Christmas Evil from 1980. Horrible movie, but like Silent Night, Bloody Night, I gotta watch around Christmas time just because for nostalgic reasons. The Ghost from 1963, and Snake People, starring Boris Karloff, from 1968. Also, horror classics again. She Demons from 1958. Bride of the Gorilla, starring Raymond Burr. Now, this is an amazing movie. It is just really good. It came out in 1958. If you get a chance, I think you can find it on YouTube. If not, you can find it relatively cheap. Great movie. You owe it to yourself to see this film because Raymond Burr really made that film. The Sound of Horror from 1964. I wasn't impressed with it. And one of my all-time favorite B movies, I watch it every time around Halloween, is Attack of the Giant Leeches, starring Yvette Vickers, who just died last year. Also famous for the floozy in Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. A great movie. I suggest that to everyone. You can find that one on YouTube. Now, those volumes were all from Platinum, but Echo Bridge bought the rights to the Horror Classics set. So they repeat Monster Maker about the pianist. So that's just one on here. Beast of Yucca Flats, starring Tor Johnson. Horrible. Done in 1961, but who cares? It's Tor Johnson. The Corpse Vanishes from 1942 with Bela Lugosi. And Giant from the Unknown, 1957, which was just ridiculous on so many levels, but it was just so entertaining. It just was a lot of fun. 4-packs from Warner Brothers. This is the Stephen King run. It's got Dreamcatcher, which is an amazing film. I've always loved that since the first time I saw it. Great film. Cast was amazing in that. Dolores Claiborne. I've seen it one time, and it's a very good movie though. Stephen King's Cat's Eye. Great montage of different types of flicks, storylines. It's just kind of cool. And Creepshow, one of my all-time favorite movies. That one's just is amazing. Another one, four horror movies from Warner Brothers. Wolfen, which I've always been a fan of. I remember sneaking down and watching it on HBO when my parents were asleep just to see it, and it was worth. If I'd have got my butt kicked, it would have been worth it. Body Snatchers, it's a newer version. It's kind of a continuation of the 77 version in a way. A little weaker than the other stories, but still pretty good. Coma, which was actually the first R-rated film I ever saw. A little boring, not all that exciting, but the ending was kind of cool, so that made it worth it. The next one, Bad Moon. It's a werewolf movie. I really enjoyed it. My one friend Charlie had suggested it to me, and I found it on this 4-pack, so I think it was like $5, so really good movie. Watch Bad Moon. A New Line 4-pack, the Critters series. I love this series. It's just too damn much fun. I can never get enough of it. I love this series, and I'm glad I picked it up. It was worth, I think I paid $12 for it, and for $3 a movie, you really cannot go wrong. Now, these were disappointments. It's all 7 of the original Nightmare on Elm Streets and Freddy vs. Jason. Now, I mean, I'll come straight to it. 2 through 7 were horrible. I don't know what the hell the attraction was when I was younger, what made me think they were good movies, but they were god-awful. The original Nightmare on Elm Street was awesome. It is an amazing film still to this day. I like it better than the remake even. Freddy vs. Jason, the only part that I actually liked was the one where the one kid says, I don't know what was going on with that goalie, but boy was he pissed. Kind of paraphrasing that. But that is what made that movie for me, and the rest of the movie was pretty much just junk to me. Another 4-pack from Warner Brothers, the Hammer Dracula movies. Horror of Dracula, Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, Taste the Blood of Dracula, and Dracula AD 1972. The 1972 one, horrible, but it was still fun. The Hammer movies have always been something that I've always enjoyed, and I'm really glad that I got them. Now, I think this is going to be the last one for this one, so the Tremors 4-pack, can't go wrong. They're a lot of fun. I've enjoyed them since the first time I ever saw them. Of course, Tremors, the first one, is the best, but as the creatures keep evolving as the movies progress, it just makes it that much more fun. I've loved it since day one. So that is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for 3 more parts, and thanks for watching.